Recording. All right.
All right.
We don't have to open a third video.
Benefited us all because now we all use Zoom.
Yeah.
And then it's funny, we go from making fun of Dave for being the old guy on webcam.
Oh
now I'm the old guy on webcam.
Oh,
I can't
gosh.
do anything.
I have gone in 3 years. I've gone from the IT guy at the office to like, how do I get to staff meeting if nobody emails me the Zoom link? Like I am, it's like happened so quickly. I'm like, I'm still pretty good at like not breaking things, but I am no longer,
You know, when I started in engineering, I remember looking at the mainframers like, why did you let your guys get so out of date? Like, how did you not keep up? And then when I got laid off in August, I'm like, what the heck is all this new stuff? And I had to do a crash course to catch up.
I'm running a Substack now. And like, I got a guy who helped me make a bot that relates to it. And he like built it in Google Sheets, which is great because it makes it easily customizable for me.
Yeah.
And I've like always been someone who can view a page source or like, you know, figure out what's going on. But he's like just trying to explain to me. And I'm like, this should not be this opaque to me. It just shouldn't. And like, and Substack makes things easy. And I'm thinking about leaving it for a few. Franklin, what do you have? What is that? Okay, I don't care. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you where it's like I'm an old guy who doesn't get tech anymore.
Yeah, it happens quick, man.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the new low key last bullet, which might come up every now and again. It's the original crew. We tried to get Dave, but Dave is in the air right now.
On brand.
On a plane. Assuming he means on a plane, but you know it's Dave, so who knows what he means. We're obviously here because Kansas did it to us again, and so we're just going to kind of go around the table. Conrad put together an agenda. Conrad, you want to take the first part of what we're talking about, which is one word to describe how we're feeling?
Yep. My one word is relieved. Not to be like I don't want to come off overly negative, like really appreciative of what Lance did. But I, always look at it as like, what would I do if I got control of UB athletics? Like, would you do what Danny White did and fire everyone, or would you just retain everyone? And Lance is a really hard one because I think you retain him. He's done such a good job. He's consistently good, but you worry that you're in that Ohio Bobcats area where you're going to be consistently 7, 8, 9, maybe 10. You're going to keep losing those championship games, and that's just your ceiling. It just becomes like good is your ceiling, and it's really hard with Danny White, with Nate Oates. We saw the greatness potential that we all thought this university had way back when, and so just good. I'm more willing to risk getting rid of good to be great than just staying with good. But so I'm kind of relieved that he left us and we didn't have to make that tough like Reggie fan base pairing decision again.
That's a really good point. I had never ever looked at it that way. What are you, Matt?
Yeah, I my word is ambivalent, which kind of sucks. My attitude about Lance never really changed. His first couple of years here, I would make jokes about like we're just squinting stoically into a overcast sky, right? And we're just, And I'm gonna say this a lot tonight. Like, arguably the best couple year run the program's seen, maybe the -- or late 50s, maybe like the turn of the century. When we didn't give up a point in 1898, right? Like, but like you guys dug up some gear. I'm wearing a Kansas City shirt. Like I meant to dig up my Paragraph, women's soccer MAC championship shirt. Didn't even bother to do that for this. Like this team won tons of games. It did it with a pass heavy Tyree attack. It did it with a run heavy Jarrett Patterson attack. I was never excited to watch UB football under Lance. And I said this before years ago. I'm someone who's always going to be here to support UB. I don't need the wins to pull me in. And so maybe that's the flip side of this coin is like, I don't want to denigrate that. Like we won a ton of games. That was cool. It's fun to win. But I never moved past like, am I excited about like the energy around the program right now? And I'm not, and I'm also like, a big thing that I'm going to talk about later is like, would be really great if we didn't sink down to 3 wins for 2 seasons again. And hopefully we've built up to that. But like, honestly, I just never got to the point where I was like, Lance Leipold puts together teams that I'm really at the beginning of the year. It's like, yeah, like we finished last year strong. We're going to be better this year. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm just like, all right, you know, y- dare I say it? Dare I say it? Next bull in. That's kind of where I'm at.
So see, I disagree with a lot of that, but I can see where it's coming from, because I actually was when Kevin Marks decided to come back to UB after deciding to leave UB, I was really excited. I was like, this is a team that's going to compete for the division, could compete for it. I do agree with Conrad's points that I got somewhat concerned after the Ball State game that we were going down the Solich route, but I wanted to go wait a couple more years before deciding if we were there or not. My word is resigned. Like, this is the life of a mid-major. Everyone who saw the Kansas job was like, oh, no way anyone's going to take that. 6 times your salary for a higher profile job, even if it looks like it's like a minefield. And to be fair, Kansas looks better now. Les Miles would have got more time if he was not Les Miles. Like, I talked to that the Rock Chalk Talk guys, and they said that. He said, no, we were going to give him time. We're past firing coaches after, but then some of the stuff he did off the field, it just couldn't stand. So, yeah, I if we bring someone in and that someone keeps you winning 8, 9, 10 games in rank, they will be gone. A Frank Solich, such as he is kind of a diamond in the rough. A guy who's already got 1 foot into retirement, lands at a school where they're fine to go 15 years without winning a title. Well, 50 years without winning a title. That we're not going to find that. And when we brought in, Bobby Hurley, we knew it was going to be a short ride. I thought the Oates ride would last a teensy bit longer, but I had no illusions he was going to stick around and build us into the next Gonzaga, without us having the money that Gonzaga has. So that's where I am. It's what it is. I'm only upset about 2 things, and that is the timing and the messaging as to why they left. Which that came out today, and I was not thrilled. So, we'll go to legacy now. What is Lance's legacy? I'll go first on this one. He built the solid bones of a program. He did not win a MAC championship. Turner Gill always will have that over him, but he did what he had to do to take a team that Jeff Quinn had basically destroyed our expectations for football again. And to the point where I feel like what Matt said earlier, I think 3 wins is kind of our floor, whereas that's not what it's been ever before. What about you, Matt?
I said that after Turner Gill. I said that after Quinn.
You thought 3 wins is our floor after Quinn? You are an optimist and a half.
When Quinn left, we still had a senior season of Joe Licata, and we held on to Tyree Jackson.
I don't mean like as in like 1 year. I mean like not our floor for next year, but as a program.
I know, but like I thought that those 2 would, that would get us through. I'm where am I with legacy?
I think our program's changed. I think we in the old days wouldn't have fired Quinn at all, because I think our floor did rise, because
Quinn just got a pickaxe and started digging into it.
But
that makes sense.
That was the double FCS year. We won those 2 games, and we were shaky in every other game. We could have held on with Quinn and just let him go another year. But I do think our expectations got a little higher, and I do think a little bit of Danny White. He's the constant salesman. You can't keep selling what Quinn was trying to sell.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I have for Leipold when we talk about other coaches is he stuck around longer than Gill, and he won more than Quinn. And neither of those things are guaranteed in a G5 position, as you were saying earlier, with like, if you win this much, this is the life that we're in. But if he won a MAC title, either of those 2 years, I'd be saying very different things right now. I'd probably be talking about him a similar way that I do Oates or Hurley. Well, more so Hurley, but
Yeah.
no matter what you did to leave for the P5, like, you got us a title. You helped us break through and prove that it can be done. And we finished the season ranked top 25. I went into the season saying I don't think anything is going to matter in this season. And I think there was enough football played around the country that we can say we earned that top 25 spot, especially when Ball State went out and won their bowl game. It was like, yep. And so it's meaningful to me that he stayed longer than Gil and won. I don't know how the winning seasons shake out, but I guess Gil only had the single winning season.
He's the first coach with a winning record since Offie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he did better than Gil.
Yeah. So, he in both total wins and like number of winning seasons.
Winning percentage.
And
And he was here longer, so total
he
wins.
won-
I think Gil was 20 and 30, and I think Leipold ends up 34 and 32.
Something like
Okay.
that.
So my twin factors of like winning and sticking around, I split that up to like characterize the fact that like maybe I think of Gil as more of a winner, but maybe I shouldn't, except for that last game. And like I don't even like I can't even get upset at Gil for losing the International Bowl because like we were just I was there,
Oh, yeah.
we
were
had
just
no
outside.
chance in that. But it's also meaningful that we won a couple bowl games here. Like
Well, I mean, Gil did more with less.
Gil did more with less.
Gil did a lot more with less.
Still had
Leipold,
that turnover defense that we love.
yeah. Leipold did a lot,
Yeah.
but what Leipold did that Gil couldn't do, and I don't fault Gil for this, Leipold built a program.
Yeah.
Right? Gil had a personality. Gil was a good coach, and he got the most out of what was there. But
Yeah.
we've been through a quarterback leaving, Licata, a new quarterback coming in, that quarterback leaving, a new quarterback coming in, that quarterback getting hurt, a new quarterback coming in. And we've really
Yeah.
only had one terrible season through that entire span of time.
And Gil didn't stick around long enough for us to see the player development that we've seen from Leipold.
Yeah.
Like Leipold did a lot of good things. I just
Mhm.
wish I had been like more excited. Like the day of the
Losing the
Rutgers
ball-
game that Tyree threw
Losing
for
a Ball
6
State in that title
touchdowns.
game hurt. Mhm.
I'm sorry, what?
Losing a Ball State in that title game hurt.
Yeah, and yep,
And NIU,
and NIU.
you hurt too.
And NIU, yeah, well, that's true. I would say the NIU was probably a worse loss than Ball State.
Yeah,
Ball State was solid.
they were different versions of two Leipold things.
Mhm.
Like closing out games in NIU and like I don't know what but like it's not so much the closing out games but hitting an important game late in the season and just like not like that
Just coming out slow.
that
Yeah.
Ball State game felt like the Bowling Green game in the Ralph to me.
Mhm.
We got through the first quarter and I was just like I don't have a good feeling about this and it never came. It just never came. But we are also in that position like he won a lot. I don't know if Malcolm Kuntz makes an NFL team, let alone gets drafted in a previous coach. He's someone who really did improve over the years. I think I'm interested to see what James Patterson does and what he puts together. Once he gets a
Yeah,
shot
he's here.
to get to the next level, if he's here. Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, I don't know. It's tough to talk about this and say like, I'm not sad to see him go because he did a lot of good stuff, but it's just kind of like, I don't know.
I'm not upset. I'm
Yeah.
sad, but I'm not upset.
For me, I think you got to look at it. It's seesawed because 06, 07, we were the worst, undeniably worst program, top to bottom in the MAC.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, I think budgetary wise, you see teams fall off, not trying to invest as much into the athletics. I think Ohio's still up there, but they just fell on bad luck coaching hires and stuff like that. We surged with all our hires. And then you see teams that can compete here or there, but we're kind of the program that's competing across all levels. Maybe we got to get up there in volleyball, but otherwise, we're kind of becoming one of those premier programs, and you start to see them do those polls like best job in the conference, and it's Buffalo, Miami, and Ohio are right there in like those top three. We were never there before, and
No, we
for
were
better
12.
or worse,
Yeah.
for better or worse, I'm not the biggest fan of building the field house for reasons I've documented, but it does show a commitment to, growing and building that, now you see other places have it. And even places that have, like Akron, built their stadium and then fell off the map. Like they couldn't sustain that success. So you got to kind of grade it on the curve. I think that's where I go is with Gil, you had nothing to sell but belief and his spirit. And I think that's a lot of us latch on to. Like he sold it to us, the vision that we thought was good, that was there, and then he fulfilled it by winning that championship. I also think he did football smart things. Like our turnover defense was because our defense wasn't good enough. We had to take the ball away. That's smart. It makes sense, and it's good. And it's when we would go heavy pass at the end of the game when we were down, we didn't stick to the system when we're down 14. We got to throw it and try to win. We had so many comebacks. We were never out of the game. That's something that keeps you invested. I see that he moved Trevor Scott to defensive end and he became an NFL player. He moved James Cyrus to running back, became an NFL player. He recruited a guy like Maynard. He recruited Khalil Mack. He recruited Stephen Means. He recruited Brandon Oliver.
Yeah.
He did so much for us. And then you look at Quinn, kind of the guys he brought in didn't really work out that well. He kind of sidelined Licata instead of just playing him instantly, and he was our best quarterback since Willie. And Licata was kind of here at Will North. If he was from, Cincinnati, we would have gotten him, I think. Although he maybe would come because, Quinn loved the Cincinnati kids. But if he was from Cleveland, he wouldn't have come here. And, so I think Quinn got a lot of, all his superstars were skilled guys. We played them out of position. We didn't make Khalil Mack as good as he could have been because no one could block him, and we just didn't blitz him every play. It blows my mind every day. So
I'm so pleased Conrad's got the Tepper thing going, even 5 years later.
I told the guys at Rock Chalk Talk when we were talking about this, like the biggest damning thing about Jeff Quinn's tenure at Buffalo was he could not win the MAC East with Khalil Mack and Brandon Oliver on the team.
Yeah.
Like you had Khalil Mack on your defense, and it was not a one-man show. We had other good defenders.
Yeah. And who did we lose to? Who was on the Bowling Green team? Sean, I don't remember.
Matt Johnson.
Some quarterback that Matt liked.
Matt Johnson.
But and then I think about Lance, and it's Tyree Jackson was a Quinn. He didn't bring him in. Quarterback hasn't looked the same since. He did a good job hitting the JUCOs. Like, I love Anthony Johnson, my favorite receiver to be a Bull, and that was a great pickup. And we've actually been really good receivers. I guess that's I coach. With Nunn, with Osborne, we've been really, really good receiver. Even the guy who went to Iowa, who I love, Charlie Jones.
Yeah. He was great.
Because he's like a folk hero in Iowa. Every Saturday he trends, and I get so pissed. He's a good guy. You have Jared Patterson, which I feel like was a package deal, and also like kind of some Winters out there in Pelote, if that's how it's pronounced, in Maryland, kind of helping push these kids to Buffalo. And then you got Ladarius Mack like not getting an offer and having to get pressured into getting an offer, like those little blunders. I remember.
I had forgotten about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and then I just think too, it's just the ideal that our identity is going to be building from those lines, the classic Midwestern football, O-line, D-line, and that's great. But those things are not supposed to degrade. If you're building the best offensive line and best defensive line, in the championship game, you should be bullying people with your offensive line and defensive line. In the championship games, we got bullied by that guy at NIU who was suspended the first half, and the second half we just could not stop him. And Ball State completely bullied us in the MAC championship game. So it just crushes. It just didn't work for me. And I just don't, if you brought in your offensive line that doesn't allow a sack all game, and then you allow 5 sacks in the championship game, like you're out schemed, or you just don't have the talent. But it's just not going to get better because you had greatness, but you couldn't finish.
Yeah.
And for me, I just think there's a Nate Oates out there. Like Nate Oates is the one that hurts me the most. I think he was the perfect coach for Buffalo. He's the best coach I think we've had.
In any sport, regardless. Yeah,
I think it is for very close to FLJ and women's basketball for what she's built, but
it's hard. It's hard to to divide between the two of them because they've had such different tasks and they both succeeded so spectacularly.
Yeah,
and I think getting Lance from D3 is a similar trying to move, trying to find just talent where it may be, but I just don't think he was up to the task that Buffalo was. And I think football is football. I think on the field, he's great, but the Buffalo job is bigger than that. And it might work out in Kansas. That's our next question. But I think there's just more to the job than just calling dive and having the running
in
back
Buffalo in particular, with our relationship to those pro teams and our history. Yeah.
See, my view is he's actually much better off the field than on the field. Like, I think, and when people keep saying he's a program builder, and I think he is, I think he's great at building bones. I think he's great at managing coaches and managing situations, at putting together an environment in which good football can happen. His game day coaching has left something to be desired. Going
and I go outside of that though. When I say between the line, like his building a football program is great, but building a community around that, I think he was awful. He was
no,
you're not zero.
You're not wrong.
And it was funny. Like you go like you don't hear you didn't hear Nate Oates talk a lot when Hurley was coach, and then he became head coach, and you're like, oh, that's what he sounds like, because it doesn't look like what he sounds like. Yeah. And it's like you hear Lance speaking to Kansas, and I've seen some things like, we hear the speech, and he, there's no doubt that he'll be successful. I'm like, I don't even know what he sounds like.
An example is the first time we ever heard from Bobby Hurley, he was crying about an intervention article on Bull Run. And the first time we heard from Nate Oates was because something was going to come out in the news that was awful. And he's like, look, guys, you're going to hear about this, but I'd appreciate it for the players' privacy. You waited until stuff broke. That's the difference between Nate Oates and, you're right. Bobby Hurley built a community, not just wins. And I see what you're saying, Conrad.
Did you guys catch, this might've been, I don't know, 2018, but they did a promotion. UB Athletics did a promotion of the car dealership and did videos of Lance and Nate like driving in like a car that had hands-free auto driving.
I wish, if you can find that, I want to see it.
I'll try and dig it up. So in the sense of like, here's a cool thing that was gonna like just an extra thing to get people excited. Like you could come to the party that Boone Enzer puts together and picks a country artist for the tailgate party, and like you could win the lease of this car. And look, the car has hands-free driving, and Lance is just it's exactly what you would expect. Like Nate did fine, and Lance was exactly what you expected. Like this is teed up for you on a platter to bring some juice in, and it just didn't happen.
I saw someone on the draft. Like I remember one of the coolest things about Turner Gill when he was first hired. I was in the equipment room and they're picking out the new uniforms. We're getting rid of the swoosh horn.
Yeah.
And so they asked him for his, what's his blessing between like 3 designs, and he was like, I can't be a football coach. I didn't know I was gonna have to be a fashion designer. And I was like, that always stuck with me. It's funny, but it's like that is the job. If they give it to you, you're owning the whole identity of the program. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And someone at the draft this week, I think not UB, but a Buffalo person who I follow on Twitter, was just like, when I think Kuntz got drafted, they said, I didn't know Buffalo had so many combos. And I was like, yeah, we never repeat the same combo twice. Like there's something cool that has come through with, the new graphic identity and with between white and green. And that's something that that's pretty cool, but no one would know about it. We don't actually promote or, do anything more than just play the game anymore.
All right. So we got 10 left because of our technology budget on Bull Run is not what it should be. So let's fly through here. How does Lance do at Kansas, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, Kansas is Kansas and Lance is Lance. If I take your connections at their word that they are now in an era where they have patience for people, it's a Power 5 school. They can schedule favorably. I think he gets them to 6 wins by 2023 or 2024. I don't know how much better he ever gets with them than 6 or 8 wins, because at some point you got to win in conference to get much
Yeah.
above 8 wins. But I think he gets the bowl eligibility, but within one recruiting cycle, so long as they they can schedule Gardner Webb
I think
and
his ceiling at Kansas is like you said. I think his ceiling at Kansas is a 6-win coach with maybe the occasional 8 or 9 win year that pops up here or there. They're letting him bring his whole staff, from what I hear. He's bringing whoever he wants, so he's going to hit the ground running in Kansas, and I think you're going to see immediate improvements. And I do think 2022, 2023, 6 wins is not out of the question.
I've been reading a lot of their forum before the search or during the search, and I know they have a lot of unfilled scholarship spots, so it's going to have to do a lot of work, getting bodies in there that can play. He was getting a lot of praise on there for offering Kansas kids. Like, he just started offering some Kansas kids to Buffalo a couple weeks ago, and they're saying, "Oh, that's smart. Like, he has to jump on the state if he takes the job." I hope that's not the case. I hope he didn't stop recruiting Buffalo and start recruiting Kansas a month ago. But either way, it doesn't really matter. But I think it'll be good. I think the biggest thing, the Kansas fans are not too happy about Borland, because I think they like their defensive coordinator they had there. But I love Borland, especially coming from Temple. I think he always
I wanted him as head coach.
People, yeah. I don't know if I wanted head coach, but I just loved what he did. I wanted him to stay as DC. He, aggressive D line, good secondary. The turnover poncho was always coming out every game, and he's just a solid, X's and O's coach that we haven't had in the longest time. I was just like really happy to watch defense and not see like major breakdowns every game. So we lost a 1-on-1 battle, but we weren't just like Bowling Green guy wide open and like 4 guys looking at each other going like, what's happening?
I mean, we shut down Penn State with fundamentals until Finnegan broke his leg.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Banks had three hits of the line of scrimmage or behind in the first 2 drives. Like, that's the Borland defense, and that was fun.
And the Big 12 doesn't do the defense that well. So I think coming in and having a defense that can hit people in the mouth and take those teams that are used to scoring 50 and allowing 40, they can win some games like 28-21. And Gill was kind of doing that early. He win a few games here or there that way, and they lost their patience. So I think if they keep their patience, I think Borland's going to be, a secret hero there, and they'll do fine. Their football team is the B team there. They don't need him to do all the other stuff. 6, 7, 8 wins, they'll be happy.
Yep. They'll be Ohio. All right. Next coach, Conrad. What are your thoughts?
We just do who we think should be the coach, external, internal, or whatever.
Style, anyone you have in mind?
I mean, for me, I just wanted young, energetic, someone who knows how to use the internet and tweet with a gift. Like our coach, our AD uses the internet better than our coach, which is always weird. So I want someone who's going to bring the focus back on. Someone who can build a program. Someone's going to complain about the track, like Oates complained about the practicing facility, and get people motivated to support and get better. So I have my list. I'm external candidates. There's a OC at Rutgers, Sean Gleason. He was at Princeton for a while. Must have coached with one of our old athletes, Stephen Thomas, who was a defensive back. He was at Princeton for a long time. I think he's with the Lions now. But I think that would be great. The Rutgers people are saying that he, even in 6 games, completely overhauled their offense, made it better. Before that, he was at Oklahoma State, so he was running that spread offense in the Big 12. So, he's 36 years old. He's younger than me, my age. I just turned 36 on Sunday. But, young, energetic, East Coast guy, with that spread fundamentals, I think that would be a cool thing. My second guy, Joe Moorhead. Everybody knows from Penn State. He went to Mississippi State, got fired after 2 years. And right now he's the OC at Oregon. But, I think he was always the Yankee in Mississippi. And I think that was kind of not a cultural fit. So, and it might be, something that I don't see him being a head coach candidate. So he has to go somewhere and get his profile back up and wants to go back to the Power 5. And I think Buffalo would be a good place. He was at Fordham as the head coach. He's at Penn State. It's something he could bring in recruits and instant credibility, and he's a great offensive mind. And then I have my all-net connection guy, David Yost. 50 years old, currently the OC at Texas Tech, was at Mizzou forever when pretty much the same years all met was at Mizzou. So they might know each other. I don't think that's a job he would normally take, but maybe because of the connection, he would go work with if they were friends, he'd go work with his friend, and maybe if he's interested in taking that next step. And I think he's from Ohio originally, so you like know this area. And then I think my outside of the box from my personal experience, I was out in Hawaii for 6 or 7 years, and we went from power run to the run and shoot, and it was amazing. Just we throwing it all around, could score at any play. It's just exciting. Talking about building community and getting people in, like it was the kind of thing where you rushed into the stadium because you don't want to be late, because we always try to receive the ball and they might score within the first minute. And so you got to be in your seat by the anthem, or you might miss that first touchdown. So it was like really exciting, fully converted to the run and shoot. It's also the offshoot of the K-Gun. It came from the same coaching tree. So that would be something that would be really, big for Buffalo fans. I think it was June Jones in Hawaii and then went to like the Houston, or he was at Houston first in the what league was it? USFL. He's at Houston with USFL with Jim Kelly. Later on, he ended up in Hawaii. And so that would be something that Buffalo fans might go nuts over. And so, but this guy, Craig Stutzman, he's 40 years old. He's the OC and quarterback coach at Washington State with Nick Rolovich over there. He was, fun fact, the first coach to offer Marcus Mariota when he was in Tulsa. No one knew about him. They went to the same high school. He like tried to get him out there, but then, through a whole series of coincidences, he ended up at Oregon. It's a really cool story. I'll tell one day if I ever have time to tell it. But, he has an eye for talent. And then he also has a brother who coaches at Navy right now. So you got local recruiting ties in Maryland and someone who knows how to run the ball. So I think those four are my big four. I don't think any of the four will be higher. Probably, it's going to be something outside the box, but that's me.
All right. I will be more pithy. I want to bring in someone who can bring in their whole staff with them. I want a head coach. Honestly, Steve Ryan, who is coaching in NAIA, caught my eye. He does nothing but win, which, I would have been suspicious about the jump before Leipold. Now, who knows? Maybe it works. Or Kurt Signetti, if you can get him from JMU. I mean, we need someone to come in here with their whole staff right away. Matt?
Two things very quickly. When Mario Cristobal was hired by FIU, he had only previously been an O-line and tight ends coach in Miami. So don't limit yourself to coordinators. Now, there's cultural things going on with the Florida guy staying in Florida, Cuban American going to FIU. But I don't want to see us limit ourselves only to coordinators. Two, don't shoot for PJ Fleck and end up with Steve Adazio. Just like make sure you get that right. Right? I didn't do any work for looking up names.
But that's some Boston College hurt there.
I have, oh my gosh, we don't have time, but I have given up on Boston College in all of life.
Well, hopefully this format works and we'll nail out something with a little more time next time. We're down to 36 seconds on our complimentary Bull Run Zoom call length. From the guys, thanks for listening in. Things will get better. They can't get worse than they were under Quinn. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.